So if you're working in sales, then today's quite an important video for you guys. I want to talk to you about the importance of timing in the sales process and in the sales cycle. Now, I think for me, timing is something that is often overlooked and not discussed anywhere enough in sales. I think we live in a real hustle culture nowadays, and for me, one of the biggest things that gets spoken about with sales is do more, call more, try harder, etc. And whilst all of that is perfectly valid and perfectly true, I think, like with most things in life, everything is down to perfect timing. And if you don't either get the timing right in the sales process or take advantage of key timing points, then you're either setting yourself up to fail or you're missing out on some fantastic opportunities. For me, point number one, and something really, really important to talk about, is when is the perfect time to call a lead. You're going to hear many, many different things on this, and as in all my videos, with all my advice, all my content, all I can ever do is give you my opinion on what works for me, what I feel right, and stories from my experience. And my simple advice is the best time to call a lead, or to make contact with a lead, is immediately at the point that it comes in. I've heard all kinds of contradictory advice or different strategies from different people. And I think this boils down to a couple of things for me. One, we live in a world of very poor customer loyalty, prospect loyalty, and also everyone's working at uber speed. They expect everything to be done immediately, to be delivered immediately, and people have got very, very little patience. Now, when you talk about acquiring leads in the first place, leads cost us, as business owners, leads all cost us money. However we acquire them, whether they've come from whether they've come through a sales rep, whether they've come from a response to an email marketing campaign you've done, whether it's coming from your pay-per-click campaign, however you're achieving them, these leads are costing you money. And for me, if you do not contact them immediately, and when I say immediately, I mean literally immediately, then the likelihood of ever contacting that lead, the prospect of getting a positive reaction from them when you do contact them, diminishes rapidly. I know from my own personal experiences of being a consumer, if I'm out there searching for a product and I go onto somebody's website and I have to key in my details, I key in those details, but then naturally I automatically then go onto somebody else's website, a competitor's website of theirs, and another competitor, and I'll find myself filling in my details multiple times with multiple different competitors, and it's exactly the same when when customers are filling in, or prospects are filling in the details on your contact forms or on your website. Obviously, as you guys know, a big part of one of the businesses that that I'm involved in is the finance industry, and we regularly acquire or buy leads. Whether we're buying leads from a lead provider or whether we're acquiring them ourselves, from our own content marketing efforts, pay-per-click, etc. Realistically, any one of those customers who is searching for finance, he's going to be searching for finance for multiple lenders, from multiple brokers, all at the same time. So as soon as we get that lead, we need to be jumping on it straight away, because if we don't, then somebody else who has probably also received the same lead, because they've either bought it from the same supplier, or they're a competitor who's also had a contact form filled in, they're going to be ringing that customer. And it really is very much a case of the first person through the door has a much higher chance of doing the deal, obviously if all other things are equal. So I think it's super important not to waste any opportunity to contact those leads. A simple way to look at it is acquiring that lead has cost you money. If you are not jumping on it straight away, then you're wasting money. The inverse of that story comes from a kind of a debate or argument I had with one of our introducers once, and this is in another product that I'm involved in, where we were working on a joint venture basis with this introducer, and the scenario was we had to pay for the lead acquisitions for the introducer, and then they gave them to their sales team, and their sales team did the outreach, did the contact, and hopefully earned a commission from it. And after a couple of weeks, for me, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of actually getting no business, from this introducer, I was talking to them about what their sales process and how they work, and what these guys were doing is every time they were getting a lead, they would then send out a brochure to them, with an email and some information on the product. but then wait for anywhere between 5 to 8 business days to then follow them up. Now, I was absolutely staggered when I heard that this is what they do. Their argument to this is, oh well, we don't want to feel like we're harassing the customer, putting pressure on them, etc., etc. I think that is complete bullshit. That customer or that prospect, they've put their hand up, they have said, I'm interested in your product and I am in the market to be sold to. Why the fuck would you be waiting 5 to 8 business days, which realistically, by the time you've received the lead and sent it out, before your 9 business days, 10 business days, you're 2 weeks down. 2 weeks in today's world is like a lifetime. That gives so much opportunity for your competitors to be, to be jumping in and effectively making a sale to someone that you have paid for that lead for. Top timing tip number 2, which is a real quick and easy one, but can yield some fantastic results, is a great time to be reaching out to make contact with potential buyers of your product is when they've moved into a new role. Now, whether that's a promotion in the existing business or a sidestep into a new business, but when new people are responsible for the buying decisions in businesses, they very often like to change suppliers, bring in new relationships. Now, whether that's a relationship they've had from a previous business or a previous role or someone new altogether, but they like to make a change, they like to make their stamp, make their mark, and try and prove their worth. So fantastic time to be contacting these people is when is when they have moved roles. And often a great way to see when people have been moving roles is to keep a close eye on LinkedIn. Every morning I get inundated with messages on LinkedIn saying, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith has moved roles, has been promoted, has changed jobs, etc. So keep a close eye on LinkedIn, and when you see that someone relevant is going to be in the buying position for a product that you're looking to sell, that is often a fantastic time to reach out to them. Now, tip number 3 is the importance of understanding your customers' budgets and their deadlines. Now, every business that you're looking to sell to has budgets for every aspect of spending, and every area of expenditure that they're going to be doing. And what you're trying to sell them is going to come out of one of those pots. So you need to understand how does their financial year run, who is responsible for those pots, and at what point in the year are they going to have spent that money. Because, like I said, every business runs to a budget, and if you catch them at the wrong time and they've already spent the money in that budget, then it doesn't matter how much they want your product, they're not going to be able to buy it. So make sure you've done your research, done your prospecting properly, and you've caught them early enough in the sales cycle to be able to catch that person when they've actually got money available to spend with you. Another a quick tip and something very interesting with budgets is that depending on who you're dealing with, particularly very big organisations or especially councils, government type agencies, the people who are responsible for those budgets actually not only have money to spend, but they really want to and must actually spend their entire budget allocations before the end of the year. Because often with these people, if they don't spend their entire budget this year, they certainly don't get to carry it over next year, and they also quite often can get next year's budget trimmed if they haven't proven that they've actually needed to spend what they'd already budgeted to spend this year. So if you catch the right business at the right time, and they actually might be more desperate to spend money with you than you actually are desperate to actually get them to make a sale. Tip number 3 is the importance of understanding your customers' budgets and their deadlines. Now, every business that you're looking to sell to is going to have different budgets for different areas of expenditure, and what you're looking to sell them is the payment for that is going to come out of one of the pots of one of these budgets. And if you catch the timing wrong during their financial year, when they've already spent that budget, it doesn't matter how much they like your product, they are not going to have the funds to be able to spend. So make sure you're doing your prospecting right, you're dealing with the right person, you're catching them early enough in the cycle of their financial year to be able to make sure that they have actually got funds available to spend with you. And finally, number 4, the last thing I want to talk to you about on timing in the sales process is when it's the wrong time, when it's a bad time. Obviously, what we've just talked about now is good times and how to proactively use time to your advantage, but it's also really, really important to understand when the timing is bad. When timing's bad and someone doesn't want to be sold to, it doesn't matter how hard you try, how much hustle, how much effort you put in, you will not be able to sell them. And you are also at risk of probably irritating them and alienating them. And I'm telling this story from a very quick bit of personal experience. Over the last month or so, I've had a couple of people trying to sell me something. Now, when I say trying to sell me something, the product that they're looking to sell me, these are two different products, two different people, but what they're looking to sell me is actually something that I am very interested in, because it's something that's going to work well within my business, is solve a problem, and I am a very keen and real and credible buyer for them. However, I've also been suffering a month, 6 or 8 weeks of big problems, distracting problems on another business that I've been involved in. And no matter how good this other product is, I simply don't have the headspace right now to concentrate on that buying process when I'm trying to fix the other stuff I'm involved with. And I've been very honest with the two people that are trying to sell to me, and said, listen guys, I'm very interested in your product, but now is just not a good time for me. I haven't got the headspace, my concentration is elsewhere, but I'll be fixed in a week or 2 or 3 weeks, and as soon as I'm fixed, I will definitely be back in touch, and we can resume this process. Now, one of these people in particular has just completely ignored what I've said and keeps ringing me every second day, texting me 2 or 3 times a day to ask if I'm ready. I've told him very clearly I'm not going to be ready for a few weeks, and when I am ready, I will be in touch with him. So it's really, and like I said, what he's going to do is ultimately piss me off, alienate me, and run the risk of actually not being able to make a sale to me when I am a super easy prospect for him to sell to, because I'm already a highly qualified buyer. So I guess my advice is use your common sense, your intuition, your understanding of a situation to understand when a buyer really is a buyer and is looking to buy what you've got on offer, but is just honest with you about the fact that the timing's wrong. So if I'm telling someone the timing's wrong, I'm being honest. If I'm not interested, I'll just tell you I'm not interested. But I'm telling you I'm very clearly interested. The timing now is wrong. Do not misread that and think you need to put more effort, more hustle, more drive me harder. There's all this sales advice on the culture of pressure and push the prospect, etc. But often that it's not that they need more pushing. They just need the timing to be right for them. So know how to read your customer, know when the timing's wrong, know when the timing's going to be better, and you're going to find it 100 times easier to make that sale. So if you like my videos, please comment below. I'd love to hear some of your stories about how you guys get some success from implementing some of the things I talk about, or even tell me about some of the failures if things haven't quite worked out for you and you think you should have done things differently. Press like, press share, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and if there's anything you want me to talk about in the future, send me an email, send me a message, or write in the comment box below.